Hi, and welcome to the Global Economic Recession 2020 Survival Guide channel. I'd like to thank you for joining me today as we try to prepare American citizens as best we can for what is to come in the next year, either before the election or after the 2020 election in the United States of America. Well, folks, everything does not make dollars and cents here in the stock market. The volatility of this month is to be watched carefully. Today, the Dow was up over 180 points after yesterday down over 330 points because apparently now there is more hope for a trade deal between China and the U.S. As you know, China's diplomats are in town in D.C. They are negotiating with President Trump for this week. But yet, it still appears that this trade deal is not going to be enough to save the U.S. economy from slipping into a recession and or a depression. Because China is willing to suffer the pain of their economy cooling off just a little bit, not flatlining like our economy will do. Because let's face it, the PMI, the manufacturing index of the United States have dipped below 50 in many different multiple things, and the numbers do not look good. Stocks are rallying this week and in the future weeks due to two Federal Reserve rate cuts that are expected before the end of the year. Most people believe that there'll be a 50 basis point rate cut at the next meeting toward the end of this month into November, and then they expect another 25 basis point rate cut in December. So the markets have already priced that in, and that's why there's a little bit of fluctuation. But folks, let's take a step back and let's get into what's really going on here. Let's look at the current interest rates of central banks around the world, not just the United States. And as you can see, the majority of them are in negative. I'll just read a few of them to you. Swedish interest rates, negative 0.02. Switzerland interest rate, negative 0.750. Okay? Japan's interest rate, negative 0.100. Okay? Now, many of these are G8 nations, okay? G8, G30, G10 nations, G8, big time economies here, okay? Australia is about to go into a negative interest rate at 0.05% interest rate. We're talking about global interest rates here, okay? Canada, 1.75 interest rate and dropping. Okay, Great Britain, 0.750 and dropping. Okay, so as you can see, and that's not concluding Germany's interest rate, which is already in a recession, and they're predicting they're going to need more quantitative easing to sustain their economy, and Deutsche Bank has yet to fall. So all those things have not taken into account. So you, as Jerome Powell, the Federal Chief Reserve Chairman, said 2 days ago in his meeting in Denver, that we're trying not to go the direction of negative rates and also deflationary pressures. We don't want that to happen, but that is going to happen because the worldwide economy that we're in has an effect on the United States economy as a whole. United States interest rate right now is sitting at 2.00%, okay? With these next 50 basis point and 25 basis point rate cuts in the next 2 months before we end this year, we may very well be at 1.50% and dropping fast, okay? They're not leaving themselves room to cut. Now, let's go back to explain. Let me explain to you. The Federal Reserve is saying that this is not quantitative easing, what they're doing with the repo market. You might have heard of how they're giving the banks some extra liquidity at night, and then the banks are repaying them back the $75 billion loan, on a daily basis. It's not cumulative, as many people have been suggesting. However, this shows you that there is a liquidity problem. This means it's a cash flow problem. When you have a cash flow problem at home, what happens, okay? The money supply is tight. You maybe cut back on some discretionary income with spending. You don't go out to Maggiano's or the steakhouse or watch that movie. Maybe you cut back to help fund bills. Well, the same happens on a corporate or a governmental level. But here's the difference. The Fed keeps talking about how they have these tools and they do what's called FOMC, Federal Open Market Operations, okay? They buy and sell bonds, okay? They raise and lower and raise interest rates. or they increase or decrease the money supply. These are all tools that they use to help regulate or control the global economy. Okay, but what happens when you run out of room, when you run out of tools in your toolbox? Okay, with interest rates this low, banks can't make money. Um, any fool will tell you they don't want to loan money with negative interest rates, and you don't want to save money at negative interest rates because you can't gain any interest, dividends, or any kind of bond payments or get any returns on investment. Okay, so what happens is, if you look at the debt to GDP ratio by country in 2019, Japan has the highest world debt, followed by Greece, Portugal, Italy, Bhutan, Cyprus, Belgium. The United States is number 8, and then Spain and Singapore round out the top 10. Okay? Now, if you remember, Japan never recovered from their 10-year lost year decade that they had stagflation, okay, and that their currency basically dropped down to almost virtually nothing. Okay, Greece, the same problem. They had a currency crisis, a liquidity crisis. Now they're still carrying $379 billion in U.S. debt. And debt, okay. United States currently sits at about $20 trillion in national debt, okay. And that ranks them number 8 in the world in terms of debt to GDP ratio. Why is this important? Well, I just told you that the manufacturing numbers are down, right? Okay. China is the number 1 manufacturer in the world, okay. We have been importing way more goods than we're exporting. That's called a trade deficit, economics 101. So, if you notice, look, next time you go to Costco or Sam's or your grocery store, notice where your fruits and vegetables are coming from. Places like Mexico, Canada, uh, Cyprus, Brazil, Colombia, Singapore. Okay, notice where your fruits and vegetables are coming from. Notice where your clothing is coming from. Notice where your everyday supplies are coming from. They're not coming from the U.S. We're not making anything here. So if you have a country of United States has 340 million people approximately, okay, and only, like I told you before, 150 million people are actually in the workforce currently right now, for a that yields a 3.6% unemployment rate, at least by their numbers. Now you got to remember their unemployment rate is not including people who gave up looking for work or working part-time jobs under 20 hours a week, okay? So if you're doing like a Uber or a Lyft part-time or one of these gigs, Grubhub or something, or one of these gigs like that, you won't be counted in the full employment, but you be counted as part-time employment. So they don't include those numbers. But anyway, I digress. So if the United States are not manufacturing anything, okay, and China's manufacturing everything, they're not going to be hurt as much by a trade war, quote unquote, because they own the manufacturing, and they just don't manufacture for the United States. China manufactures stuff for, I don't know if you know this, but for Russia, for much of Lower Asia, India, Bhutan, Vietnam, Cambodia, Australia. China has other partnerships in trade other than the United States. So in theory, they really do not need the United States as much as the United States needs them, especially since the United States is getting ready to head into a recession and or depression within the next year or two. According to most analysts, I would say we have anywhere between 12 and 16 months left of this quote-unquote bull expansionary run that they claim that we're in right now, okay? Because that's just the nature of the business cycle. So you can see we have high debt, low manufacturing, and we also have low interest rates, which eventually is going to hit to zero probably in the next year or two, maybe even negative. Now, that's coupled with the fact that we have over 500,000 or 1 million Americans that are homeless this holiday season that's coming up, okay? One out of every 10,000 people in the United States experienced homelessness on a single night in 2018. Now, look at which states we have this homelessness problem going on. Obviously, California is high on the list with over 150,000 people homeless. New York, 95,000 people homeless. Florida, 35,000 people homeless. Texas, 30,000 people homeless. And Washington State, 25,000 people homeless. Okay? So we have a bunch of homeless people with no jobs, no access to healthcare, no access to food and water, not counting the illegal immigrants that come in this country and they have no access to food, no access to healthcare. Who is paying for all of this? Who will be paying for all of this? Will be the taxpayer. So as cities, counties, states, legislature tries to raise money, they're going to raise taxes on everything. As a matter of fact, in D.C. right now here, they're thinking about putting a sugar tax on your Coke, your Sprite, your Mountain Dews, any sugary drink. They're putting on a sugary drink tax in D.C. right now. And the funny thing is, D.C. is trying to become the 51st state now. There's a campaign launched by their mayor and everything. Good luck with that, okay? Because they say the quote is taxation without representation. Well, guess what? Now DC is going to put a sugary tax on your thing in the name of students' health, on the name of kids' health. They want to preserve their teeth. We want to preserve their health. That's the campaign that's going around by their public affairs communication specialist. But yet they're going to put a sugary drink tax on DC residents starting next year. And they've gotten that approved, and they're thinking about doing it, starting that, implementing that next summer. So, guys, that tells you that cities, counties, municipalities, townships, they are strapped for cash. And when they become strapped for cash, they're going to raise taxes, okay? But it's not going to work because the people are already tapped out, okay? With credit, the credit is tapped out personally for personal individual households. The credit is tapped out with the average family owning a balance anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000 in credit cards. Student loans are tapped out. They've been payment on that. Corporate credit is tapped out. That's why we have all these retail stores are closing. You go to your malls, you go to all these stores are closing and are declaring bankruptcy because the rents are too high at these malls, at these corporate strip malls and everything, and they're just not bringing in the revenue. Most of these stores have more employees in them than they have customers in them. And even if you can say the online buying can only take you so far. Amazon can only take you so far. eBay can only take you so far because they have to share their revenue with shipping costs because trucks still have to move these goods and services around the nation, okay? So as things get more and more rocky and volatile, we need to find a safe haven. So what is our safe haven going to be? What is our 2020 recession survival safe haven going to be? First, you need to get into hard assets. And what I mean by that is you need to be thinking about minimalism, cutting back on your everyday activities, growing your own food, definitely. You need to be thinking about investing, keeping money at the house just in case there's a bank bail-in. Not nothing serious, but you need to get a safe, fireproof safe. Start thinking about keeping a couple $100 in cash, and even get some gold and silver coins if you can afford that. Just a little bit, not having a lot. You need to be diversifying is the key to being able to survive this next upcoming crash because everything is in a bubble. And once again, it's not going to be inflation that kills us, but deflation. In a deflationary depression, what you want to have is cash, liquid cash on hand, not in the bank, not in some type of stock or paper, but you need liquid cash on hand because the sales are coming. The housing prices are going to be dropping next year probably by up to 40%. Okay, new house starts and used house starts. People trying to sell their houses. Okay, cars are going to be dropping by up to 30 to 40%. These car prices are not sustainable. Okay, new trucks. I heard my friend just bought a pickup truck, a Raptor, for $70,000. Fully loaded 4x4 Raptor, Ford F1 250 Raptor. Okay, that's not sustainable. Payments for 84-month loans is not sustainable in this type of economy. So the deals are coming in that market. Deals could also be found are going to be coming not only in housing and transportation, but in real estate, also in I'm sorry, not housing and transportation, but they're also going to be coming in consumer goods. So things like electronics, television, cell phones, iPhones, prices may be slashed down to $500 instead of $1,000. Android phones, you may get those for $100. TVs may go down to like $60, $70. I'm talking about 4K LCD TVs that Super Walmart and these other stores sell. Microwaves, TVs, stoves, appliances, all those prices are going to be slashed when this next deflationary recession hits in the next year and a half. Okay, that's what we're gearing up for, and this is going to be worldwide. So it doesn't matter if you're in Europe, it doesn't matter if you're in Asia, it doesn't matter if you're in Africa or in South America. It's going to be a worldwide deflationary depression, and you want to have some cash on hand if you can to survive. And if you have, mega cash in hand, then maybe you can take advantage of some deals and get your family set up for the future. But if you don't have liquid cash on hand, if all you have is paper stocks and all that, it's going to be decimated because all these are going to be falling down in value and worth as United States is going to be dragged into this negative interest rate cycle, and the money in the bank just sitting there is not going to be getting any interest or anything, as we know. And so it's much better, my friends, to have liquid cash on hand. Keep some there. Like I said, keep some of them to pay your bills. Keep some of the bank to be able to transfer for different needs you may have during the weeks or during the months. But you need to have some on hand, because when they start doing bail-ins and they're going to tell you we're going to have a $200 withdrawal limit, some of these little banks are going to go under and you're going to be stuck holding the bag, regardless of what FDIC says they insure, because they're going to go with the highest priority money people first, and then they're going to come down to you and give you whatever is left of it. So be sure to take care of those needs first, okay? Be sure that you and your family have a survival plan. Be sure that you're getting your preps ready, things that you're going to need, and keep it simple. Like I said, you can go on Amazon and get sleeping bags, camping tents. You need to get food, most importantly, perishable food, non-perishable food items, things like that you need to get right away, right now, to be able to survive the initial chaos. Because like I said, the initial chaos is going to be, there's going to be a cash flow crisis. Okay, that's going to be the problem. Okay, because the credit's going to run out. And what happens when credit runs out? Oh, there's a cash flow. Everybody goes back to cash. But what if there's no more cash available in the bank? So what if they decide to limit you to $250 a day withdrawal? What are you going to do? So if we don't have the cash on hand, you won't be able to quickly make these deals and be able to, to come out on top of things, because they can do that. And you've seen that in other countries. You've seen that in Greece. Turkey's economy is in trouble right now. Brazil's economy is in trouble right now. Do not listen to these people that are telling you that cash is going to go down to zero all of a sudden. It's going to be worthless. No, my friends. Cash will be king, okay? And I'm talking about cash is going to be king probably for the next year or two after this deflationary recession or depression hits, and then they come up with a new system after that. So you will need to have it on hand. I hate to say it to you, because when you go to the store, they're not going to tell you, they're not going to give you gold and silver as a payment option, okay? You're not going to be dragging a gold bar in and saying, I accept this as payment. It's just not going to work that way, okay? People still want to see those greenbacks. They're going to look for it. They're going to stamp it. They're going to want it in any form of fashion they can get, especially in a deflation. And if it was an inflationary scenario, yeah, you might have a better chance with gold and silver, but it's not going to be that. It's just the opposite. It's going to be a deflationary thing. That's why the Fed is so concerned about keeping inflation at 2%. It's not because they know that if it slips below that and continues below that, we're going into a deflationary recession and or depression. That's what they're not telling you. Everybody thinks it's going to be hyperinflation, because they even gave you a hint, because they said we're not starting QE. This is not QE4. This is not quantitative easing 4. They're giving you hints now, telling you what's going to happen. So in 2008, we had a little taste of that. But this time, all asset prices, all asset classes will be dropping majorly. Even the stock market itself, as inflated as it is, it's going to go from probably like 27,000, maybe 26,000. It's going to go down to where it should be, which is around 12,000, 13,000 in a realistic, economy. Okay. So my friends, be on the lookout for that. Just to let you know that we told you here first on 2020 Economic Survival Channel. And we're going to give you more tips and strategies as the days go on. But once again, we're at a fragile state, because like I said, it's not just the trade wars. Please pay attention to other parts of the world and things that are going on there. Like I told you, Turkey's economy is in trouble. Germany already is in a recession, okay? The Brexit vote is coming up in about 20 days from now. So we really have to look at that. The Brexit vote is coming up in about 24 days from now. They're doing this Brexit vote. That also is going to have an impact on our Western economy over here. So be on the lookout for that as well, okay? And also check out the countries that have survived something like this. But like I said, this is totally different, because this is a different situation. We haven't had a deflationary depression in a long time, okay? The Great Depression was not 90 years ago in 1929, but this inflationary depression is this deflationary depression is going to be, recession is going to be different, because all of the asset classes are going down, and we're going to be cash strapped, and that's why cash is going to be king, because most countries and most places don't have that much reserves in actual liquid cash, okay? Most banks don't carry that. Most individuals don't have that much cash on them liquid like that. So that's why we're going to be strapped, and that's going to be the situation going on. If you have any questions, I'd be very curious to hear what you think about the situation. Please leave your comments below. If you'd like me to cover any economics topics, anything that you didn't understand, leave it below. I'll be sure to get back with you in a future video. Thank you for joining me today, and remember, be prepared. Having a plan is better than no plan at all, and keep those greenbacks somewhere safe. God bless. Have a great day. Bye-bye.